Some shit. Okay. So hello everyone. Welcome. A long time no see. My name is Shyla Massey, as you can see from when you came in, and I am going to be coming over here. I got 20 days. I am going to be dropping free information. I want to start off by saying make sure you comment, you subscribe, let me know your thoughts. And also, any information discussed is for informational purposes only. I ask that you seek the advice of an attorney or a certified professional. You may be thinking like, well, what's a certified professional? Somebody who took an exam that gave them the title to say that they're a certified professional. And that could be a certified public accountant, that could be a certified financial analyst, um, anybody that took a body of knowledge test. They had to study for the test. They had to have a lot of theory behind their name. They had to go before the state board for that test. You need to seek their advice to validate anything that I say today. If you do not have those type of people in your phone book, like in your phone, your contacts in your phone, you need to find them. You need to find them today because we're talking all things business, and that's the first thing you need to do. Like, I know your business may not be a multi-million dollar business, but if you have a business idea or if your business is cash flowing, and you may be like, well, what's cash flowing? We'll get there soon. Because I'm not dropping, but I'm about to tell, I have a goal and I'm going to accomplish my goal, and I'm going to get there because you're going to help me. So in advance, I want to say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you. I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I have two business degrees. One is a bachelor's of business administration. The other one is a master's of business administration. I did get my degrees relatively early. So I was 22 when I got my first degree, and it took me a little bit longer for the master's, but I got it. And then I also have another bachelor's degree in something completely different, but it is still in business. So I have a BS in business education, bachelor's of science in education, which is in business education and marketing education. So I have the ability to teach both. So what I need you to get a piece of paper, I need you to get a pen. I'm going to give you the steps that I have taken personally that has helped me in my life. The very first step that I've taken in my life that has helped me is my belief in God and my belief in Jesus Christ. If you don't believe in God and you don't believe in Jesus Christ, you might as well just go and leave out and don't ask no more questions. Don't subscribe to this channel. Don't do anything. Because when I look over my life, I can honestly say it has been my belief in Jesus Christ and my belief in God that has sustained me through every phase of my life, through every income level of my life. Hello, Siobhan. I think I said that right. Hello, homie. It was my faith in Jesus Christ that sustained me. Period. I have been able to do things that people have never been able to accomplish. And people are like, well, how can you do this? How can you do that? And when I look back on it, it was because of God. Hello, Elizabeth. How are you today? Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe. I appreciate all of you. It was because I said yes at an early age. Nobody had to convince me. Nobody had to talk me into accepting Christ as my Lord and Savior. It was none of that. I told my God sister, come on, let's go. And I told her that we were going to give our lives to Christ. And we went down there. When I say I was young, I was very young. So the first thing I would say in business for you to be successful is that you need to have God and a belief in Jesus Christ first in your life, because doors will open supernaturally because of your belief in Him. You'll be able to accomplish things in your business that other people have taken them 10 years and 12 years, and they want to tell you how they've been doing this for 12 years and you're able to do it the second year. The other thing I want to tell you is you need to get friends who are in business, and they need to be your friends before you start business. So like before you start going into a business, you need to have friends who are already in business. And when I say they're your friend, I mean they're your friend. That means that you can pick up the phone and call them and just talk about anything. It could be, hey, you going to the game tonight? Or, hey, I saw your mom the other day. I was so excited to see her. I have more friends in my phone that I've never asked them what they did for a living. And when I say I never asked them, I didn't know what they did. It wasn't none of my business. It was like I knew them from this. I heard what people said, but I never asked them about that. I knew them from something else. And so because of that, because I knew them from other situations, that's how they got in my phone. Now, as their lives changed and they started, having businesses, if I needed help and I was in that industry, I asked them. But I have been lucky enough, not lucky, I have been blessed enough to know that I've been placed in certain situations because those certain situations will help me. Now, I'm going to drop a name and I'm going to tell you how I met this person. Their name is Jeff Hoffman. If you do not know who Jeff Hoffman is, he is the founder, one of the founders of Priceline.com. And how I met him was I am a certified teacher through ODE and VDOE. So I know how to teach business. I know how to go in a classroom, stand at a board, talk about topics, give examples about those topics, and then test people to make sure that they understand, or teach it in a way if they don't understand to get them to understand so it clicks in their head. I'm a very hands-on learner myself, and I like to do hands-on with other people. So I met Jeff Hoffman because I always did professional development as a teacher. Why? Because I like to travel. And because I was a teacher, I knew the trips that I wanted to take and the places that I wanted to stay in, I couldn't afford that. And so I had to get my students to win. So I had to get all my students to be first and second place winners in whatever state I lived in order for us to travel. And when I say we travel, I mean we travel. And then when ended up meeting Jeff Hoffman, it was because I was at a professional development. So I'm telling you this story why friendships and relationships matter. I was at a professional development. This gentleman was speaking about entrepreneurship, how it is, how it is the it's needed. Small businesses are needed in our country, in all countries, for the economy to be robust, for it to thrive. And he talked about his mission in life was to help younger people, to explain the importance of entrepreneurship, and to help just one more person who may have been where he was when he was a child be successful. And he said some more things, but his story was so inspirational, especially when he talked about a service, a technology-based business that deals with travel online that I was really into because I was a user of Priceline back then. I just recently used it for a trip that I took, but back then I was a user of Priceline. So we went to lunch and Jeff was at lunch. I told another gentleman, I said, we're going to have lunch with Jeff. Now, Jeff is a multimillionaire, if not billionaire. And I said, we're going to sit at this table and we're going to have lunch with him. He was like, no, I don't want to sit there. I'm like, no, we're going to sit. And I took my colleague with me and we sat at the table. And that meeting opened up the opportunity for us to go on this cruise. He said, you know what? I'm going to take all of y'all on this cruise and we do nothing but entrepreneurship. I said, oh, for real? I was like, okay, yeah, we going. And everybody at the table was like, yeah, we going. So I asked him when the meeting was over, I said, why are you willing to pay for all of us to go on a cruise to inspire someone else that's younger to go into entrepreneurship? And his reply to me was, I do that all the time, and very few people take me up on the offer. He said, but because I'm willing to pay, they don't keep in contact with me. He gave me a list of things, which was they don't keep in contact with me, they don't call me, they don't email me. He told me all these things that people didn't do to follow through with his advice. And I said, don't worry, I'm gonna always keep in touch with you. Guess who calls Jeff? I email him once a year. Once a year. If I don't do anything else, MJL, hello, how are you? Welcome. If I don't do anything else, I email Jeff once a year. I used to send him cards, but his email address changed. And so, or his email address changed. And they said, don't email this one, email this over here. So, but I called Jeff once a year. But it was listening, having those relationships, being in the right place at the right time, making sure I pay to get, now I pay to get in rooms. I heard somebody say that. I actually pay to get in rooms to hear the people I want to hear or to hear what somebody says. If somebody tells me they are multimillionaire, I'm paying to get in their room. I want to know how you got there. I want to know what you did. I want to know how I can improve as a person. But I've always been a lifelong learner. So that's the tip that I would tell you. You need to be a lifelong learner. When you implement a skill or you start a business and the business is doing well, there is a period of growth, right? What are you going to do beyond growth? What are you going to do beyond growth? And the people in those rooms, I start off by telling you, it's important to have certain people in your life, but you like them for who they are, not for what they have. So when you network with people, when you pay to get in certain rooms, you have to use that room as an opportunity, not as an opportunity to come up, but as an opportunity of when will I need this information? And you got to learn how to ask the right questions. Asking the right question is the most important thing that I could tell anybody in their lifetime. Ask the right questions. Asking somebody something that you can Google is not a right question. Another negative way of saying this is there are stupid questions. There are stupid questions. Anything that you can Google is a stupid question. Okay? If you have your phone with you, if you can come up with the answer right there, then you don't need to ask somebody else the question. Asking somebody what was the most pivotal point in your life. When you look back over your life, what was the most pivotal point in your life that changed the course of your life, your trajectory forever? That's an important question because that's going to tell you a pain point. And a pain point is something that they had to overcome. For example, the pain point in my life was when my employer told me that they closed my program because I was a teacher and we were winning. When I say we were winning 7 years straight. There is no team in the state of Ohio that has won that many times except for us. I can honestly say that from the area I'm from, there's no team that has won that many times. But what happened, hold on, why my screen get darker? Am I dark? Whoever's in here, can you tell me, am I dark? Can you respond? I know I've been talking for a long time. I can talk. But welcome. My name is Shyla Massey, and we're talking about business. I'm giving free information out to help you excel in your small business. Um, am I dark? Okay, you left. So I guess so. I'm gonna go in the light. But what was I gonna say? But asking, seeking for help, and placing yourself in rooms that are important. You should be going to professional development events that are for your niche area. Whatever your area is, if you own a laundromat, you should be a member of the Professional Laundromat Association. You should be going to their national meeting every year. If the meeting is virtual, go to the virtual meeting if you cannot afford to be there in person. If you are a certified public accountant, you need to go to the national meeting for the National Association for Certified Public Accountants. If you're an engineer, you need to go to that meeting. That is how you're going to find what is cutting edge. That's how you're going to network with other professionals. That's how you're going to figure out what could be your next move. You could have dinner with somebody that is in a professional organization that supports your small business or your business, and that individual's information takes you to the next level. You're able to overcome whatever obstacle you were facing within your business because you listened and took the advice of someone else who maybe had the experience that you had, that maybe went through something similar to what you went through. So networking is so important. You need to be a part of professional organizations. You need to be a lifelong learner. The next topic is you got to work hard. I know people say, speed and ease. I've heard somebody tell me speed and ease, right? And I've been sitting here trying to figure out, like, what is speed? What is ease? Like, how does that relate to my belief in Jesus Christ? How does that relate to, when God steps in and he takes over? It's the fact that I was already putting in the work. And so when God steps in, he just magnifies the work that I've already done. And now unto him who was able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that I can ask for and or think according to the power that worketh in us. That means I put forth my effort and I do the best of my ability to do what I need to do. And then God comes in and he takes over and he does the rest. And that's important in business. That is very important. So you need to, one, have a belief in God. Two, in his son, Jesus Christ. You need to, two, make sure that you network, that you place yourself in rooms with people who are doing the things that you want to do and that you pay the price that it costs to be in that room. The third thing you need to do is be a hard worker. You need to work when no one else is working. So when everyone else is working, you get to play. What does that mean? That means that I'm working. I'm working while everybody is up watching TV. I'm working while everybody is, they out at the club or they out drinking. I can clearly look back on my life. My friends didn't invite me anywhere. They didn't invite me nowhere. But I was always working. I was always taking care of, my family. I was always making sure that I was able to have a roof over my head and provide for not only myself, but my family. And so I wasn't that type of person. What I was that type of person is let me do my job so I can get my check. And if you think about firing me, I need to be the last person on your mind that you're going to fire. Even when they took close my position, they still found me another job. And that's how I ended up into entrepreneurship. That was why, because the program that I grew, the program that I was able to encourage somebody with, the program that allowed me to travel around the country to, thank you, lime water. The program I was able to, if I mispronounce it, I'm sorry, but the program I was able to just grow and encourage somebody else, they were like, oh, we don't need this no more. We're going to put you over here. I ain't even certified to do this. What you mean you gonna put me over here? I'm a certified business teacher. I have business degrees. I don't have no degree in teaching somebody that is not interested in business. Like, I want to teach somebody that is really focused on what I have to say. And the thing with my programs was that they picked me. I didn't pick them. They said that they wanted to be with me. And because they wanted to be with me, then that meant that I wanted to be with you. Who don't want to be with somebody that don't want to be with them? That's common sense. And so we had each other for 3 years, and my programs were career technical education programs. And we stayed from sophomore year to senior year, and we developed a family relationship. Now, some of you may come from families that are um, I don't even know the word from it because I ain't even come from a family like that. But dysfunctional, there it is. Some of you may come from families that are dysfunctional, but that's okay. You build what you desire. And that's what I did. I built what I desired. I let everyone know that, and this is me paraphrasing it, but I let them know the whole schedule for the whole year. This is where we going. This is what we doing. This is when I'm gonna be out. I said I'll never be out. I said if I'm ever out and I don't tell you I'm out, it's because I'm taking care of my children got sick. I said that every year I was a teacher. I was a teacher for 16 years. Said that every last year. If I'm not here at work, it's because my children are sick. I said any day that I'm gonna be out, I will always tell you. Why? Because that cuts out anticipation. That cuts out the idea of, okay, maybe they don't like me, maybe they don't want to be with me, maybe they don't want to be around me. Any of the negative ideas or connotations that people put in their head, and it builds on the fact that I value you, you're important to me, and because I think you're important to me, I'm going to tell you everything that could remotely, affect your life, either good or bad. I'm going to tell you what's going on. And I do that in my business now. I do a calendar for the whole year. I let everyone know when I'm going to be out, what days we're closed, what's going on. If I'm leaving for a business trip, I let them know 2 weeks in advance, or a month in advance. As soon as I know when the business trip is happening, I let my employees know, hey, I'm not going to be here on this day. If I have a substitute that I want to come in and step in on my behalf, I call a substitute in advance and let them know in advance, this is what's going on. This is how it's going to go. So that's how you create people who trust you, because you let them know in advance, this is what's going on. Now, one thing I can tell you that, so again, get the knowledge, get you a team of people, get you a team of people, get you a certified public accountant. If you're going to start a business, you need to get you a certified public accountant now. And you need to tell them what your goals are. Because I have so much information in business, I knew my business was small. In my head, I thought, I don't need a certified public accountant. Let me go over here and get this advice from the Women's Business Center and let them help me, since I paid a membership for it, and I can manage my books on my own. But the truth is, you need a professional managing your books. That's one advice I did not take sooner. I took it later, and it cost me time on my life, because here I am, I have the knowledge, but I am not the expert. And you want experts in your business. You want people who are certified experts. Yes, you may be looking at cost, but it doesn't matter the cost when you want your time. The ability to be able to creatively think is the freedom that you need in order to grow your business. The freedom you cannot think if you're always overwhelmed, if there's always something going on and you have not hired people and put them in positions that frees your time. You want to be able to think. You want to be able to think for long periods of time. You need to think about who you're going to hire, who needs to be fired, what positions you need to have open, and you also need standard operating procedures. That is something that I have not been successful in. Did I pay somebody to do my standard operating procedures? Yes, I did pay them. And now I'm looking back and reflecting as a business owner, and I see, oh man, I should have been took the time out with this. But guess what? I was sitting up here traveling the world, going on business trips, doing this, doing that. I should have did the standard operating procedures. Like, no, I'm not using AI. I don't like AI. Have I used it recently for some social media? Yes, to save my time. But I'm not a fan of artificial intelligence. I'm a fan of using your brain because I believe that God will give you the answer. He will divinely. And I know that I have not always operated in that. I can honestly say that, but I do believe it. I do believe it. I do believe that God will give me the answer to everything that I desire. And even if I don't believe it, it's like help my unbelief. But I believe it. You tell your things the things you believe. Like you have to speak those things as not as though they were. I believe that God will give me the answers to all my problems. That is why I'm on here tonight, to help somebody else. For you to be able to see, she told me that I need to seek the help of a professional, a business attorney, a certified public accountant. I need to get them on my books now. I need to be in rooms with people who are making more than me and who are professionals in my area. I need to get advice from certified professionals, not somebody who took they took a 3-hour exam to be certified, a 5-hour exam to be certified. Those are the people you seek advice from. You seek advice from people who have to go to the state board of something to get the certification. You put yourself in a networking position. You put yourself with friends, people who are a body of knowledge that when you need help, you can call on. One of the blessings is having people in my life when I need help, they say yes. And stop lying to yourself. I was lying to my own self. I realized you have to stop lying to yourself too. Whatever you don't do, fix it. If you fix you first, then you'll fix your business. Because when your business grows, it's going to amplify who you already was when the business wasn't grown. If your goal in business should be cash flow. Again, your goal in business should be cash flow. After all the money you taken in for the month, and your revenue, and after you pay all your expenses, what's left over is your cash flow. Your liabilities versus your assets. The point of the matter is the money you got left over in your bank account at the end of the month, that's your cash flow. Do you have money at the end of the month, or is your bank balance in negative? If your bank balance is in negative, you are not cash flowing. Money is not rolling over and rolling over and rolling over. You do not want to borrow money. There is a difference. Apple is in a different position than Home Depot. Did you hear what I said? Apple is in a different position than Home Depot. Apple has cash reserves. And I think their cash reserve is like 1 billion cash reserve. $1 billion. $1 billion. Okay? So that's not 7 figures. That's not 8 figures. That's not 9 figures. That's 10 figures. They had 10 figures of cash reserve in the bank. Do you know how successful they are as a business? Do you And so their cash flow is excellent. Do you know how many people will invest in your business because your cash flow is excellent? Your goal is to have income at the end of every month. That is going to be your cash flow for the rest of the year. That is your goal as a business owner. If you do not have your business legally registered with the state, you need to save the money and find you a business attorney, which any business attorney in your state should be able to register your papers because they're going to register your business the right way. I know you want to do it on your own. I know that you saw this YouTube video and the YouTube video walked you through it. But the truth of the matter is, you need to hire a professional. That's what I did the first time I started a business. And I had a business degree. But guess what? I still hired a professional. I didn't do it on my own. I didn't call the state, and ask them for help, which now they tell you they can't give you even advice on how to fill out the form. Well, in my state, that's what they say. But I hired a business attorney. That business attorney incorporated my business in the state. Now, let me tell you the benefit that very few people talk about of hiring a business attorney. When you hire a business attorney to register your company with your state, and it's getting dark. So when you hire a business attorney to register your company with your state, that business attorney has all of your documents. They'll do all of your documents. They'll have your operating agreement. They will have your um, they'll have your operating agreement. They will have your uh, or articles of incorporation. They will have your EIN number saved. I recently needed to get my EIN number for, I needed to get it for a new business that I'm going into. And I had lost the documentation, the letter that you get from the IRS stating like, this is your EIN number. If you lose this, we won't be able to replace it. That's what the letters, I'm summarizing the letter. So you basically have to hold on to this document forever. And I needed it ASAP. I put a call into the attorney who set up my business. Guess what? They gave me my articles of incorporation, my operating agreement. They gave me my EIN. They gave me all copies, and they had all of this information in their files. That is what you're paying for. You're paying for when I need it, you'll have it. If I need advice, you're going to provide me with it because I'm paying for a service. I know you may think like, oh my goodness, it's so expensive to, you may think like, oh, it's just so expensive. But yes, you need to pay. You need to pay for the service. You're starting off. You need to surround yourself with people who are knowledgeable in your business area, whatever that may be. You need to seek their advice out. You need to pay for their time. You need to pay for whatever else information they can provide you with. But you're going to a professional. You're not going to somebody whose name is Coach. You going to a professional. Like you should be going, if you are trying to lose weight, you should go to a nutritionist. If you're trying to get your finances in order, you need to go to a certified public accountant. If you want to register your business in your state, you need to go to a door open up the way it's heavy. You need to go to a business attorney. It's about to start storming. So yes, you need to go and get the advice of those who um who have the knowledge. They have the body of knowledge to provide you with what you need. And so where your friends come into play at, your friends are going to help you connect you with someone else that may work in a specialized area. When you start your business, people say, "Oh, I wouldn't tell nobody that I do this. I wouldn't tell them I do that." No, tell them because you don't know who they know. You don't know who they know, what they know, who they can connect you with. So you need to tell other people about what you're doing if you're looking for advice. Everyone in my phone, you liable to get a question about anything from let me borrow money. Do you want to invest in this business? Can you connect me to this person or can you connect me to that person? You liable to get a question about anything. And it should be okay. Because guess what? All they're gonna say is yes or no. That's the only thing somebody can say. They can't say anything other than yes or no. They're either going to help you or you're not. And if they don't, it's okay. You still my friend. My friendship don't end because you decide not to help me. Because if that's the case, you want my friend to begin with if I did make my decisions based on that. So we're not making decisions based on that. We're making decisions based on this is the help I need. This is where I want to move my business forward with. This is what I want to accomplish. You need to set go. You need to write a business plan. Because that's the other thing that I learned too, was that my very first business that was actually successful was the business that I had a business plan for. Out of everything that I've done, my business that was the most successful, meaning like if someone looked at my cash flow, my balance sheet, my income statement, they would be like, oh, you doing very well. But then because I spent so much time now looking at finances and financials, because I understand financials on a basic level, now I understand like, okay, at the end, at the end of the month, I got to do this. At the end of the month, I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to do this. And when I say that, meaning that I have to have money left over as a business owner. If you want money from someone else, you have to prove that you can make money. I know people are telling you to get business credit, but if you want money from someone else, you have to prove that you can make money. And the way you prove you can make money is through your financials, your balance sheet, your income statement, your cash flow statement. Those are the documents that you must have as a business owner. There is software out there to help you. There is QuickBooks. There is Wave accounting software. Those are all programs that you can use that accountants, certified public accountants, or an accountant can go into, and they can review and tell you off the top of their head, okay, you got to work on this, you got to increase your revenue. I'm at the stage, you want to get to the stage in a business where you can start making projections. And you want to be at the stage in your business where your projections, you're hitting them head on the nail. And you want someone that's really doing your projections to be conservative. I was watching someone on an Instagram clip, and they were talking about how they had a whole bunch of open POs. A PO is a purchase order, right? But if you're not in business, you don't know that. So they had a whole bunch of open POs, and they didn't have any room in their warehouse, and products were just coming in, coming in, coming in, coming in, coming in. And they like, you need to tell them to stop sending the stuff. And they like, I can't do that because we had open purchase orders and customers are not buying our product. Well, if a customer is not buying your product, you got to, one, lower your price so that you can still make a profit and then push the product out, or at least sell the profit at where you ain't making no money off of it. You got a couple of options, and then their solution was, oh, we got to go talk to them in person and tell them that they got to stop. You should have been told them they had to stop. You should have been got on the flight and made that meeting and told them, look, the product is not moving. We hire somebody. They over projected our sales. They didn't do a good job in our finance department. But as the business owner, you gotta know this information. Yes, you release it to somebody else, but you have to hire the right person that meets your needs, that meets the needs of your company. They know where you are. They know where you're going. You know how hard that is? There has to be something within you internally that clicks, which is why God is important, because he will tell you who to hire and who to fire. Your belief in Jesus Christ, the Holy Spirit will tell you, you gotta hire this person, and you gotta heed to the voice of the Spirit. You gotta use some common sense. Like at some point, it's you and common sense, and the other part is divine intervention. But you cannot be out here just you got people depending on you. There are people you are going to help. There are people that you are going to be able to transform their lives because of your story. And if you don't do it, nobody else is going to know how to do it. You are the person who's going to make it happen. You are that person. And because you are that person that's going to make it happen, you're going to have experiences that nobody else is going to have. I want you to subscribe to this channel. I am committing to going on here, and I'm going to give out just free information to people who want to start a business, people who have a business. I was just in a meeting. I'm not going to say it was at a social media agency. And I was in a meeting, and a lady told me that she was in business and she went out of business because of COVID. And when COVID first happened, she was good, but then it was just so many businesses after they stopped supporting the small businesses that went out. And I was like, well, what does your foundation look like? And she's like, looking at me. I'm like, well, your financials, like, what do they look like? What is your, and she just was looking at me. I said, your foundation is so important in business. The reason why your foundation is important, when I mean foundation, I mean you actually wrote a business plan. You actually incorporated, you hired an attorney to incorporate your business with your state. And that attorney not only incorporated your business with the state, but they also got you an EIN number. You actually have accounting software. You have a method of being able to pay people. Do you pay by checks? My business doesn't pay any checks. Every check that my business writes every issues is a certified check. Every check. I've only written 2 checks on my business account. 2. And I know who they went to. So, and my bank knows who they went to as well. And so if I ever get a check in that is not to that person, or if I ever get any checks moving forward, I can go to my bank and say, this is fraud. You need to shut down this account. We need to start all over. Why? Because I've only written 2 checks on that account. And the number one fraud in America is check fraud. And I was told that by a bank. So you need to, what safeguards do you have in place? And when you set up your accounting software, all of your bank accounts, all of your business bank accounts need to go into that account. Going back to the professional development that I talked about earlier, I was in a professional development session, and the lady was like, oh, we have different bank accounts for different things. Our rent is in one bank account, our payroll is in another bank account, our savings account is another. I'm like, oh, so that's what I need to do? Because guess what? I want to be where you are. So my business has different bank accounts. In each account, one account transfers the money from one account to the other account, and all of them have a specific purpose. You need that as well. You need to start early. I don't care if your business is making 6 figures. You need to start now. This is the account we use for payroll. This is our savings account. Someone told me, even if you save $20 every time you get in revenue, if that's all you can save something versus saving nothing. Say, I'm going to hold this back, because that cash reserve will come in hand for your business. It that cash reserve will come in hand for your business. If it's $20, if it's $50, if you can do 10% and your business not hurt, it's not hurting your business, do what you can. But you have to develop, you have to have an account specifically for saving in your business. You got to have an account for saving. You need to start now. Even if you register the business now and you don't start till 5 years later, 10 years later, guess what? You have a seasoned business. You have a seasoned EIN number. You have everything. You have to start. You have to move. You have to go forward. You have to complete the task that is at hand. So you should be calling an attorney tomorrow. If it's a Saturday or Sunday, you need to call them on Monday. And if it's a Friday and you don't pick up the phone when you see this, you need to call them on Monday as well. You need to register your business with your state. You need to be a legal entity. No, you don't need to be a sole proprietor. There's nothing that benefits you as being a sole proprietor based on my finding. I had somebody tell me one time with no business background, telling me based on my finances, it was better for me to be a sole proprietor. There is no benefit in being a sole proprietor. Like, you have no legal protection. If something happens in your business, you're liable. You are the liable entity. Like, there is not no, oh, it was my business. They can come after anything that you own, your car, your house, a piece of land. Anything that you own, they can come after if you are a sole proprietor. That's in any state. Now, I take that back because I don't know all state rules. Based on my limited knowledge of understanding of business, that could possibly be right, but you need to seek the advice of an attorney and see what they're saying. But you need to register your business with your state through an attorney, a business attorney. That's what you need. You need a business attorney, a civil attorney. There are different types of attorneys.